Hey YouTube, it's me, Jim the Giant. So today I'm going to be discussing the idea that the only way to get better is to fight against a stronger opponent. And whilst this idea does seem to have some merit in certain circumstances, I consider the idea itself to be quite toxic, especially when taken to the extreme. Now, this attitude does seem to be more prevalent in men than in women because, as Warren Farrell puts it, men's greatest weakness is their facade of strength. Men can be persuaded to do all sorts of stupid bullshit if you imply that they lack masculinity if they don't go along with it. For example, I'm certainly an advocate for strength and courage, but I'm an even greater advocate for rationality. And the fact is, constantly fighting against stronger opponents is not the best way to improve skill. Acting tough all the time and constantly pushing yourself beyond your limits is a self-destructive behaviour which doesn't help you in the long run, and probably accounts for part of the reason men die 7 years before women. You can take more risks in your teens and early 20s as you heal very quickly, but you cannot keep this up forever. Getting the shit kicked out of you by someone massively more experienced can be a very humbling experience from time to time, and it can help prevent overconfidence, but it should only ever be an occasional thing if it happens at all. It's also true that if you constantly fight against beginners, you'll never become an advanced. You need a pressure in order to adapt. In evolution, too little pressure and the organism won't adapt, and too much pressure, the organism's just going to go extinct. In martial arts, too little pressure and you won't improve, too much pressure and you'll simply crumble. I advocate fighting a range of opponents from less skilled than you to more skilled than you, and gradually increasing the average skill of the people you fight over time. Of course, this would happen in a dojo provided everyone there is going to stay with it for some time. Everybody should improve together to some degree, although obviously there will be a range within that group. And fighting against less skilled opponents does have its merits as well. You can focus far more on getting your technique perfect and using more technical moves which you simply wouldn't be able to pull off against more advanced people. This, of course, has obvious benefits. Fighting against a more skilled opponent, you can learn how to fight under pressure, you can hone your reflexes, and you can improve your defense. Fighting against a much stronger opponent all the time, however, is a bad idea. You cannot learn to attack if you're constantly forced into the defensive. You cannot learn which techniques work for you when every technique you try fails. You cannot build confidence when you're having the shit kicked out of you all the time, and your techniques will suffer as a result. And you may end up even trying less hard in the fight, because trying would ultimately be futile as you have virtually no chance of winning. I also see this attitude of people trying to punch beyond their weight when it comes to training methodology. One area I see this particularly prevalent is within the lifting community. You get people who they start lifting for the first time, and immediately what they want to know is how are the best people in the world training, and they just try and copy what they're doing. And this is simply moronic. There are beginner, intermediate and advanced programs for a very good reason. If doing an advanced program was the best way to improve your strength as a beginner, well then there wouldn't be beginner programs. Everybody would just be doing the advanced programs. The thing is, an advanced strength program is designed to add, say, 10 or 20 pounds to your squat, bench and deadlift over the course of a year. It's designed for people who are nearly at their full potential and just squeezing that little bit more out. For a beginner, however, you could very easily add £100 to your bench within a year. If everything's on point, you could do it in 6 months, and it's not unheard of for people to add £100 in 3 months. They are programmed very, very differently for a very, very good reason. Also, the best people in the world, they might possibly have far better genetics, or they're on drugs which massively improve their workload capacity. So you shouldn't simply be trying to copy the experts. There is a very good reason why beginners train the way they do. When it comes to HEMA, very, very similar principle as well. So, an advanced drill could be something like being in medium guard, you're traversing around trying to keep the correct distance from your opponent, and you're trying to block and riposte to any of the four quarters your opponent could attack to. So you're moving around, traversing, opponent attacks at random, you block, riposte, fly back out of range. Your opponent who's attacking, they're focusing on doing it as fast as possible, and they're being punished if they get within range because they're just going to be smacked on the forearm or something like that. That would be a fairly advanced drill. An absolute novice has no business doing that whatsoever. There is far too much for them to be trying to concentrate on, in that you're basically drilling 5 or 6 different skills at the same time there. There's no point trying to get someone to drill all of that when they can't even get a strong block in place and the opponent's weapon just flies straight through their guard. If somebody is an absolute novice, they should be focusing purely on learning the guard before they even think about learning any of the other skills. And of course, these principles apply to many, many other aspects of learning. They apply to gaming as well. You're never going to learn how to beat a final boss in a game, for example, if you're dying on the first stage because you're playing it on the hardest difficulty. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't try and punch beyond your weight. It's good to practice within a certain range, as that emphasises certain skills. But focus your training and your sparring on something which is within your skill range, a little bit beyond at times. But don't just try and go for the hardest setting all the time if you're not ready. So thanks for watching, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.